You don't even have to be the person that organizes it. You just have to be the person that comes up with the idea and creates the opportunity for it. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Right, like the skills that I learned in growing and building a team, running a business, they're the exact same skills you need for being in a relationship. And that's why like they're probably the two things that I've found that are the most challenging.
Sell the metal. Sell the metal. Sell the metal. Sell the metal. Sell the metal.
If you're the man in the relationship, I think that it is like vision and mission. It needs to be clear for your calling, but also what you want to see happen in the family, so you can lead your partner and they can feel safe enough to be able to go within their role of what that looks like as well. Kind of like you with your team, right? Mm-hmm. And I think so that there's a leadership element in that context. That's like a huge pillar in that. And then it's like like connection and care, right? Like connecting with them, like actually finding time to enjoy time with them, making sure that you don't die in front of them. Yeah, like finding time to do that. We spoke earlier about if you want to keep winning, act as if you are broke and like keep working like you are broke. If you want the relationship to work, keep acting as if it's the first couple of dates that you're going with them.
Yeah.
Right? Like keep pursuing them in that way. Keep courting.
That's pretty good advice.
Right? I think that's a hard one lesson. Like making time for fun as well, right? Like,
yeah,
I think that's something that honestly, like you don't even have to be the person that organizes it. You just have to be the person that comes up with the idea and creates the opportunity for it, right? Like Michelle doesn't expect me to come up with all the ideas. It's like, hey, this is the time that I can do something. Is there anything that you haven't felt that have been able to experience lately that you'd love to? It's like this, cool. Let's get it sorted, let's get it done. So it's like you, partner selection, leadership, connection, and then fun. They're probably the things that I would say that would make that happen, in my own opinion.
That makes sense. Yeah, I've definitely failed in some of those areas, so it's good. It's
Same,
good
man. Same, right? But you've probably heard me say like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Right, like the skills that I learned in growing and building a team, running a business, they're the exact same skills you need for being in a relationship, in my opinion. And that's why like they're probably the two things that I've found that are the most challenging.
Do you believe after a breakup in a relationship that caused like both parties to grow in positive ways, do you feel like once there's a breakup, that's final? Or do you think there's like, what's your views on that? If there would be an opportunity to rekindle that?
The question is, if you break up with someone.
Yeah, if you break up with someone and then both parties, I guess, realized that they both fucked up, they had growth from that breakup.
It was something, and this isn't anything that I have learned, but I was trying to find an analogy, if that makes sense, right? I watched a Hormozy video ages ago on him and his sales team, and he would bring sales team in, and if they weren't performing and they weren't good enough yet, he would essentially say like, you're out. Doesn't mean you can't come back here, but you don't get to use my company as the place where you like use us to learn the skills. But if you get good and you still see this is a place that you can get to where you want to get to and we want to work with you, like you can come back. And I think that that applies to relationships too, right? I don't think that there is a yes or a no answer. I think it's, are we a fit? Has this person done the things that they would need to do to become that person? Has this person done the same? And are we still rowing the boat in the same direction, right? If the answer to any three of those is no, then I think the answer is no. But if the answer to all three of those is yes, I think the answer is yes. There is a possibility for that. I think that a lot of personal beliefs and, factors might come into that too. I think Michelle's answer would be like, if we broke up, you can fuck off, right? But I also think that there is a world where right person, wrong time. I think that's a real thing too. Right, like, and just think about the Hormozy example of right person, wrong time for that team, go and get skilled, come back, and perfect person for the right thing. I think it's the same, right? It's just, you're just dealing with personal communications and relationships. So anything's possible. The only thing that would limit that or prevent that from happening, in my opinion, is if all three of those parties were not like doing their part.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. That's the relationship and personal stuff. I've got some like marketing, sales stuff, client success stuff. In terms of, curious, in terms of like general business, in terms of like organic marketing and I guess your process, what habits and behaviors should be non-negotiable for someone that is below 20K per month?
I mean, to get to where?
100K per month.
Set weekly goals, not monthly goals. Weekly goals of how many clients you're going to sign up per week, not per month, is a big one.
Why?
I always found a weekly client goal easier than a monthly client goal.
Makes sense.
So much easier. Feels more controllable, right? It's almost like each week you get a new restart.
Yeah, it makes a total sense.
As opposed to, we're at 20, we want to get to 30 this month. Like, okay, well, how do we get to 30? Right? It's like, if you just break it down to like how many clients you need to sign per week to be able to get there. But then it's like, cool, we've chunked it down. We know exactly how to get there. And I think that, honestly, man, it's like really getting clear on the value proposition that you have, like the problems that you solve, and speaking to those problems and pain points in the marketing. I think it's getting to understand your numbers well enough to understand what activity does it take to sign a client, how many leads do we need to produce to be able to do that, and pitching your services to enough people every single week or month to be able to do that, right? Like, I think that that's the core foundations of a lot of it. I think tactically that looks like posting about who you are, what you do, and what problems you solve for people on a daily basis. Breaking it down to like, if it's 3 sales calls a week to be able to do that, it's like, well, if you want to amplify that, right? 3 sales calls to 1 client signed, 9 sales calls a week being taken equals 3 clients. 3 clients a week, 12 clients a month, 3K per month per client as an average, with 20% churn, which would be terrible, right? In 3 months' time, you've got 36 times 3 being added, which would put you at like 105 grand per month in monthly recurring revenue thereafter that. 20% loss will put you at like 83. You're at 100 grand a month if you close 3 clients a week.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right? So it's just reverse engineering that. It's like, how do you make sure that you are producing assets that pre-convert people on what you do? It's like, that's the videos that you do or whatever else it might be. And then just make sure that someone's showing up to a sales call like already wanting what you're selling, I think is the idea behind it.
And in terms of that, in terms of like making that happen, specifically the content, and like obviously we use Facebook groups to do that in terms of the audience. I'm just curious, like, what questions and thoughts go through your mind when writing copy and kind of marketing material for your Facebook group? Honest
to God, I think the question is like, what would make my ideal client want to buy? Like, as ridiculous as that sounds, and as ridiculously simple as that sounds, right? And I think that in many cases, the answer to that question is like, let's take your perspective on what it was that made you sign up. It was like, someone articulated my problems better than I could. Someone showed me that they had evidence of results prior to working with me, and they showed me a process on how to get there, and then told me that it was going to be okay, right? The first 3 you can do in marketing, the 4th you can do in a sales call, right? So it's like, how do you communicate the problem in that marketing? How do you communicate the solution? And then how do you show a pathway to what that looks like, and stacks of examples to elicit evidence that what you were talking about is the right thing? And I think that there's all the tactical things. You do a training, you ask people to opt in below to get something so you can start a conversation. I think that, you can put offers into the group that speak to a pain point that you want in the sales call that gets people to opt in, and you get to speak to in conversation messenger to go from there. But I think that like the big thing is like, what does my ideal client need to see in order for them to make a purchasing decision? So I think a lot of the time it comes down to like, what are their dominant reasons against buying too, right? And then like marketing solutions to the objections, right? Because like, if an objection is like, one we've been getting a heap lately for agencies is like, can't overcome this delivery issue. Cool. So I've started marketing stuff about how we fix the delivery issue so people can scale up. So it like kills the objection, if that makes sense. There was a dude who I signed up yesterday who I did a video on about what it takes to get to a multi-million-dollar business. And like, a lot of it was about building the infrastructure to get yourself out of delivery, but making sure that you're selling one thing that's really fucking clear, that can scale, that you aren't customizing for every single client that comes in. And I sent that to him prior to the call, and he's like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. I'm like, awesome. Right? And I think in like tactically in a lot of situations, sometimes the content I create is like, I have a call coming up. I know there's going to be these 3 objections. I'm going to go do some content on those 3 objections and send it to that person before that call. Right? With examples, with case studies, with evidence, And I just keep recycling that thought process more than anything else. It's like, what does my ideal client need to see in order for them to make a purchasing decision, and what would typically stop them from doing so? And how can I, if it were my job, because it is, but if it were my responsibility today to present evidence to prove that all those things are not true and all the things I do want are possible through what we do, how would I do that?
Makes sense.
So I think they're the questions that go through my head that drive the tactical purposes more than anything else. Yeah, it always comes back to like, what do they need to see? Because like your ideal client needs to be on your page, and they need to go, oh my God, this is built for me.
Yeah.
Right? For them to want to consider it. Not, this guy's a marketer. Not, this guy does this. It's like, no, this was built for me. And this is exactly what we did. And here are the 8 reasons he just said that speak back to my particular story. I think a really easy way to do this sometimes is like, think about a conversation you had with someone who is an ideal client, and just like make your content speak to that person. And I literally mean a post that
one-to-one conversation with that.
Yeah. It's like a post I put out recently was like, hey man, the reason you aren't at 100 grand per month right now is because you're acting like a little bitch. Here are all the reasons why. And it's crazy because like then all the people who align with that exact internal or external pain point are like fucking moths to a bright light, if that makes sense, right?
Because that's one thing I was going to ask as well. I noticed like in terms of the lead magnets you put out, or like the offers you put out, they seem to get a lot more traction than most. So I'm just curious, like why do you think yours perform a lot better in terms of why they get more opt-ins than most of the market?
Because it's me. No. Honestly, dude, I just think I put more time and effort into understanding who it is that I'm selling to, right? I think I have the privilege in a lot of cases to know that I have been in the situation most of these guys have. Right? So I've got personal experience that I can pull upon for a lot of this stuff. And something that I really suggest that almost everyone does, I've told this to, I think the 2 biggest markets that I've told it to have been the contractors and the real estate market. Because you can go and grab beers with these guys, your clients on a Friday afternoon, and they'd be so happy to do so.
Yeah.
Right? But they will tell you what they experience on a daily basis. They'll tell you what they're actually experiencing, what's actually going wrong, what's actually happening, what conversations they're actually having, what problems they're actually experiencing, what's actually going on that's fucking them up right now. And you'll be able to actually say, oh my God, I've been marketing like a fucking spastic. Right? And I think it's like, how can you spend...
So just more depth to the marketing, more depth.
It's just knowing that that's what they're actually dealing with, if that makes sense, right? That's what I was suggesting to you. Is like, dude, when we're in AZ, like, ask your clients if they want to come play out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, spend a day with them. Like, we'll come in and help, right? Like how can we find out what are they actually dealing with? What are the real fucking pain points they're having, if that makes sense, right? Not the one that you get 6 minutes to speak to them on a call about, but like spend a day with them.
Yeah.
Find out who they really are, if that makes sense, right? Who are they when they put a pink shirt on, right? Like, who are they when office hours are off? Who are they really when they're going through a hard time? Who are they when they're going through a good time? Who do they really want to be? And what internal or external force, so like what internal thing do they believe that's preventing them from doing it? Or what external thing do they believe is preventing them from doing it? So like for Shopify guys, like maybe there could be a belief the platform won't let me do this. I don't know, just like throwing something out there, right? It's like, oh dude, like your belief that the platform is why you aren't at 500 grand per month right now is the exact thing that's preventing you from getting there. You fucking idiot, right? Like, and if there are many people out there who believe that, like then that is again like that moth to a bright light sort of situation. And I think that a lot of the offers that I put out are typically broken down that like, I think for us, I would say the biggest, because like, it's not playing to insecurity, but it's like people want to have their pains solved or their future amplified. Like they're probably the 2 only things that matter to them, right? And I think that there isn't someone in the market who is in the like high-ticket consulting space for us, or probably even in the e-com space too, right? It's like, who isn't insecure about their offer. So show them what good offers look like, right? That's demonstrating that you have the ability to show them that's what that is, right? What are they like in bed at night wondering, is this good enough? Am I good enough? Is XYZ going to work out for me? It's like, cool. Like I remember some of the offers that were put out were like chatting with Tell, and he's like, man, fucking so many people in our fucking group. Like, how the fuck do I just get these guys back from the dead? I'm like, group resurrection guide. Thank you so much. Right? It was like, because I bet you that like this is the fourth time I have had this conversation. So like I'm so clear that like you guys have put so much effort into something, and it like you have a loss aversion to not getting paid for all the effort you put in, if that makes sense. It's like how many e-com store owners have built a list of leads who didn't buy, right? Or the, what's it called? The abandoned cart, right? It's like if you come in and say like, dude, if you got an abandoned cart list of 5,000 list of people, like I can get you $2.3 million from that if you know how to use it effectively. Right? It's like, oh my God, how can I pay you money to do that, if that makes sense? But it's just like, I've always found two things. One, getting something back from effort people put a lot of effort into and that they don't feel they've seen adequate return from is huge. And then another one is like, what are all the things that they're wondering, like, am I going to be able to fix this problem or not?
Gives me some good ideas, actually. Yes, that's helpful.
Right? It's like, what is it that they don't feel like they, like, and like prolongingly haven't been able to fix or solve, right? For like service-based businesses, it's pretty easy, right? It's like, when are my team going to get better, right? When are we going to start seeing sales coming consistently or whatever else it is, right? Like, is this ever going to fucking work out, right? Like, why aren't people buying my shit? It's like, oh, so if they're the questions you're asking, right? Then if I can put answers to that in my content, then whatever I say the answer to be, because it matches the question in your head and in your heart, you will start to believe that that's the answer, right? This is why people buy fucking like dick enlarging pills and buy like ridiculous fat burners and buy dating courses and shit, if that makes sense, right? Because they're like, I feel like I can't, like I'm going to be dead alone, whatever else it is. I don't think it needs to be that deep, right? But I think expanding the idea or places to look and think from for where offers may live, if that makes sense. Because I think that the people in business, they want money, right? But for then many of them, they have problems that money can't solve after that, right? It's like having good systems for their team, having good communication with the team, the clients, the this, the that, right? Like there's so many things that money itself can't solve that only skills can. And if you can come in and do it for them, right? Like if these guys can't figure their own fucking messaging out and they're only getting people, like they're getting people to buy, but to the wrong fucking customers and it's killing their brand, right? Like that's a really hard problem to solve if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, right? Like if you have people buying your shit, sure, it's selling, but you're selling guitars, but the only people buying, because the targeting was set like this, are people with one arm, right? And the only people actually giving you reviews are the people with one arm trying to play guitar. I don't know how well that company's going to grow. Right? It's like, it's not fucking doing its thing. Right? And maybe they're just like, man, I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know how to fix this. Right? And like who they really should be selling to is like no discrimination, but people with two arms. Right? And like if you can come in and solve that for them, then like that's a huge thing for them. Right? And it's like if they've spent so much fucking money on getting customers, but like don't know how to get them to buy again, then their profit is just like, and like the amount of guys that you would find who are probably in any space who would sit there and just like, man, I've not been able to solve this. And I'm so like, I feel defeated. I want the problem that makes someone feel defeated, right? You find the problem that makes them feel defeated and you show them that there is a light and there is a way. And oh my God, you being defeated right now is actually the reason you're going to win. Then I think you have winning offers.
That's helpful. Makes sense. Cool. In terms of like from a sales perspective,
sell the metal. Whatever the question.
what have you done to develop a greater belief in what you sell?
In what I sell?
Yeah.
What have I done to develop a greater belief in what I sell? Actually deliver on my promises. That's probably the quick answer, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like if I promise something to someone, actually deliver on that. Going back and looking at the results that we have produced and challenging myself, right? Like challenging myself to do bigger and better things for our clients as well, right? Like I think that's always been a key goal or focus. But I think that the easy thing is like start with things you know you can do and do the like master that really, really, really well. Right? Like this is why I think when people say that they want to add in like something new to their offer or this or that, it's just like, man, you have 6 clients. Sit the fuck down. The only reason you ask them to do that is because you have people on calls that you weren't able to get a right problem out of and actually pitch that solution to the problem. And as a consequence of that, you think you need new things because they told you what they wanted was TikTok, right? They don't need TikTok. They don't need their audience to be dancing fucking girls to these ones, right? And the reason why you have decided to put in new things into your offer or whatever else it might be is because you just couldn't market and pitch, like market to the pain point you wanted in the sales call and pitch that thing well enough to be able to get people to buy. And I think that start small and do what you know you can do and deliver on those promises while also building ways to get better results with that at all times. There should always be a desire while also trying to simplify the way that you do it, right? I think that most delivery systems are too clunky, and if you took 90% of it away and just focused on the one thing that actually gets a result, you'd probably be able to do that. And I think that the way that I craft that internal self-belief about it is like, we've spoken about it earlier, right? It's like see things through until the end. And it's like see the result the whole way through until the end and intentionally make sure that no matter the situation, do whatever it takes to deliver on that promise and then just do it again and again and again and again. Because I think at the end of the day, when you're making a promise to someone, all you can do to give yourself 1,000,000% conviction, there's a few things actually, right? But the first one before I get in a call is like I'm always looking for like, I did this yesterday actually, right? So I signed a guy up who is at 12 grand a month, who runs a marketing agency for a contracting company. And his issues were he was like low priced offers and inconsistent sales. And he had a sales rep that he shouldn't have had on board. So I used a story of Matt Tebow, who was at 16 grand a month when he started, is now at 75. And when he was at 16, he had the exact same issues, the exact same market. And I sold myself on this is what we do with Matt, this is how we help Matt, and this is what we did to fix those problems. So I'm like, I could walk in knowing, hand on heart, your market, your problems, your current situation, the things that you have in terms of audience altered stuff, like I know I can turn this around for you. And then it's me telling myself, okay, this is how I'm going to solve the problem for the person. So knowing getting into that call, you can throw any objection you want at me. Anything, I couldn't care less. I'm 1,000,000% convinced I can solve this problem for you. 1,000,000%, right? And either you want to start with us or you don't. But at the end of the day, like I'm a bajillion% convinced that your life would be better off with me in it rather than with me out of it. A similar question to you was like, what the two things I can think of are like money or not the right time. They're the only two things I can think of that will prevent you from getting started. Which one out of those two is it? No, I'm ready to start. Okay, cool. Just let me get out of your way and give me money then, right? But it's like, I think it's like deliver on things that you know that you can, right? And with every call that you take the time prior to find similarities in the type of market, type of business, type of situation, type of problems that the person you are speaking to has in relation to an existing or past client, how you solve them, what you would do with this person, and being able to help them see that pre-call or on the call are probably the things that I would do.
Makes sense. And in terms of like client success and like getting results for clients, obviously like there's controllable things and there's non-controllable things. So how do you deal with not being able to fully control a client's behavior?
Give me an example.
So an example, one of my clients like 2 days ago basically switched off all the tracking. So like all of the data tracking was like off. So we had to switch off all the ads. So like that affects the results. So like, I guess, how do you deal with that when like a client almost sabotages themselves and gets in their own way when you're trying to get them a result and you want to see them to do their best?
I mean, with that one, it's like, well, like, why did they turn the tracking off? Like, legitimately, I'd be like genuinely curious about that, right? Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know why they would do that firstly, but I think the question that you're really asking is like, if something out of your control happens, how can you still get the result for the client? Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that was an example. I think that I would love to know more information as to why they turned it off. It's like, just ask them not to do that.
Yeah.
Right? But I think in many cases that the common one is like, let's think of what I do know. It's like, oh, these guys never called the leads. Okay. Did you make sure that when they signed up that they were the type of person that calls leads already? Did you make sure that they, pre-starting with you, were aware of what it was going to take to be able to actually get the result here? Did you know that that was the case and make something inside your offer as a part of it, something that would solve that before they even get started with you, right? Like, could you hire internal sales agent for your company to just call the leads for them? Could you do X, Y, Z to eliminate that issue in the first place? Like, what haven't you looked at that's prevented that thing from happening and coming up right now? And I think that there's many things that you can't control, but I would say that more often than not, the things we believe we can't control were just things that we didn't ask what would prevent us from getting to the goal earlier on enough to be able to find solutions to that before it's going to happen, right? Like, even right now in this economic crisis, because there is, right? Like, there is a whole lot of stuff happening. It's like, you just shift your marketing, right? Like, your marketing shifts to how to win in a downturn as opposed to win in an upturn, right? Like, there's still a solution to the problem. It's just, how deeply did you discover what you thought wouldn't be controllable in the first place and deal with that? That's been my experience. Because we still won in COVID, right? It was like, man, everyone's like, oh, world's shutting down. I was like, cool. How do we make sure that we turn your offer into something that's actually a thing that saves people right now as opposed to something they want to take away from you right now?
Makes sense.
Did that answer the question properly though? Because, like, I don't know if you got what you needed from there.
Just seeing what question I asked you.
What you can't control client success.
Yeah, I think that answers my question.
Sometimes people are just dumb fucks. Like, seriously, right? Like some people just want to get in their way.
Yeah.
They have their own limiting beliefs. They have their own fucking things, right? I think that the best case scenario is that we work with winners.
Yeah, I think.
But even winners are losers. Like, even winners have loser mentality sometimes too.
Yeah, I think what I took away from that is just better expectation management and just making sure that they're the right person.
Yeah, and like pre-considering, right? Like, is there something that you can, like, is there something you know is going to happen, and can you solve that problem pre it happening? This is why we do DM Convo reviews. This is why we do sales call reviews. This is why I write offers and hooks and shit like that for clients, because I'm like, you're not going to get this straight away. Let me just do it. So we can give you the feedback so you can understand how to do it, and then your team can do it. Because, like, we pre-considered those things were going to happen. The most ridiculous case scenario is like, cool, just you pay me money, I will just go and get clients for you. Right? That's the most ridiculous version of that, right? But we probably won't do that.
Yeah.
We probably won't do that. I did take a triage call for you though, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Final question is about your team. So from my perspective, I think you've got like an amazing team. Faris is awesome, Carl's awesome, Paul's awesome. Like everyone on the team is amazing. Why do you think they stay by your side during some tough times? Because I've like witnessed some times of you having some struggles and stuff. So I'm just curious, like, why do they stay by your side during those challenging moments and kind of treat the business like it's their own?
Mission and vision, man. I think that big picture, everyone is bought in on the bigger problem that we want to solve. And they're bought in on the idea of solving that with or without me, right? And I think that that's a really cool way to look at it, if that makes sense. Because if you can get the mission and vision right for the company, who you guys are, who you help, why you help them, and the backstory behind that, if that makes sense, and then have a vision for the company, where it's going, and how that fits in within who they are, where they want to be, and what they want to see for themselves in their lives. It's like, it fits like a glove for them. They see their life within what you guys are doing, if that makes sense. And I think that most people leave in times like that if they don't see that this is something that is like their future. And I've been blessed again, right? Like I've been blessed with finding some people who are great, Paul included. And the idea is that I really want to see these people develop, not just to say that I do. And I think that the knowing of that is one thing that helps, but then the showing of that is the thing that helps more, right? It's like constantly checking in, like, how are you going? What do you need? This is where we're going. This is what's happening. And it's like, if they can, that's why you would have heard me on that team meeting today, just with the Faris and Cole, because it's the first time we all got to catch up since they both flew back, just talking about like what we're doing with clients and then what we're doing in sales. It was like, oh, I just needed to show them what we were focused on for the next 6 months, just to remind them. It's stuff that they already knew, but it's just to remind them. This is where we're going, this is what's happening. And I think that the more you talk about that, the more they have the internal buy-in. And when that internal buy-in is there, it's harder to leave than it is to stay, right? Think about religion. Think about sporting teams, right? Think about fans of sporting teams. It's like, even if they're losing, they're my team, right? Because that's their people. And I think that you have to build with the intent of building, these are my people. And I think that everyone that works with us has a desire to do it, not do it alone, and do something that's bigger than just them, with a team of people that actually want to see each other win, are willing to challenge each other. And it's not, like, it's never easy. But I think that's why they stay. Because they grow within themselves, they get challenged. And core value number 5 in our company, it's like they see that the best days are ahead. And we also have the core value of outwork bad days. So like, like if you buy into that core value as a thing, it's like, oh, cool, this is just a bad day. We just outwork these things. You would have to ask them what their reasons is, though, truthfully.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
But it's my belief, based on conversations that I've had in the past, that that's the answers to those questions anyway. I always thought it was my accent and my smile. It's not fucking true. Just not true. I'd like it to have been. It's just not true, though.
That's a wrap.
Cool. For those of you who watched, thank you. If by chance it would be helpful for you to be able to see how to take your marketing agency or coaching company to 6 figures or multiple 6 figures per month, there should be another video below here that will give you a very clear inclination and step-by-step process to be able to install in your own business right now. We can show you exactly how we help you position your offers, make your sales process tight as fuck, get your team moving really efficiently and exceeding your expectations from day one. We can show you exactly how we do it with other clients too. Click the video below, watch that, and you can see how we've done it for companies just like yours before. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.